So today, lads, we're going to be talking a little bit about the Vegas Aces versus the Indiana Fever. Hopefully, we can get back to normal service being resumed with the sport of basketball. That is all I can hope, is that we can go back to normal service resumed, where basketball videos, basketball takes are what is going to be the majority of this channel. But you never know. At this stage, you just never know what's going to happen. However, we got to talk about this game right here. It is the mid-off. It is the battle of the two most disappointing teams in the WNBA between the Vegas Aces and the Indiana Fever. This is the 6-7, or 5-6. Is it 6-7 or 5-6? I know the Aces are one game below 500. It's the 2 games below. It's the 5-7 Aces on a 3-game slide. It's a 6-6 Fever who just lost to the G League Valkyries. And apparently I got told to go F myself for calling them the G League Valkyries. Yeah, they are. There is a player in their rotation right now who up until last week, not even last week, up until the Fever game, had never played a WNBA game in her entire career. They are just calling, half their team is at Eurobasket, so they were just calling up anyone and everyone. Everyone. Like, they currently employ Caitlin Chen. Like, this is a team of players that half of them are getting cut in like a week. Half of the team that beat the Fever are getting cut in a week because they have like 5 players come back from Eurobasket. But, yeah, it is a not very good Fever team lost, but not very good Valkyries team. And now you get the Aces actually are going to go for it. Look, the Aces are 5-7. They've had 2 bad losses, in my opinion. One was due to, was when Angel Wilson went down. Like, if you look at the Aces, I think they've only won, with Angel Wilson down, they only beat the Wings. If I'm not mistaken, they only beat the Wings when Angel Wilson got hurt. Like, if you look at their entire schedule, like, they beat the Sun, fair enough, and beat the Mystics without Brittany Sykes. They got killed by the Storm. They did beat the Storm by 5. They got killed by the Valkyries. They lost to the Sparks when Aja went down. They barely beat the Wings. They ran 16 in this game. They lost to the Mercury with no Aja. They lost to the Lynx with no Aja. And then they lost to the Storm with Aja. And the Storm pretty good. Storm have been pretty good. I'm going to be honest. The Storm pretty good. Like, if you're asking me which of these teams have been more impressive this season, I don't think either of them are good. I don't think either of these teams have been good. Like, they both killed the Connecticut Sun. The Aces have had a much tougher strength of schedule. And look, I understand they played the Sparks and the Wings. The Wings are better than their record. The Wings are way, way better than their record. If we're going to be honest, they are way better than their record suggests. The Wings have had a bunch of close games. And they're at a 2-game winning streak. And if I was to predict, the Dallas Wings are going to be closer. I mean, as I say, is I think they're going to be closer to the playoffs than they're going to be to the bottom of the league. That's purely just my my opinion on this team. I think they're going to be closer to the playoffs than they are going to be to the Connecticut Sun. Like, they've had a rough enough start. Yes, they've only beaten the Connecticut Sun and who else did they beat? The Valkyries G League team. But again, the Fever also lost to that Valkyries G League team. So, like, the Wings obviously have a pretty favorable few games. But, like, the Fever and the Aces are probably, in my opinion, going to be fighting it out for 6-7. They're going to be lucky to get into the 5 slot. I think those first 4 teams are going to just run away with it. Like, as of right now, both of these teams, the Fever are 2.5 games off the Atlanta Dream, and the Dream are just better than them. The Aces are a game back on the Fever, so they're 3.5 games off the Dream. I think the best case scenario for these two teams is to be fighting it out for that 5th spot, because I do think the Storm are there for the taking as well. But at the end of the day, look, we're looking at 2 of the more average teams in the WNBA. And I mean this, like, I did not think the Aces were going to be great. But, like, I said it coming into the season, that the Indiana Fever were going to be better than the Aces. But at the same time, I don't know if they're going to win today. I genuinely don't know if they're going to win today, because I personally just think that The Fever have no answer for AJ Wilson. The Aces have an answer for Caitlin Clark. I think they have some form of an answer in Jackie Young. And like Caitlin Clark's going to have to guard, what, Jewel Lloyd? Jewel Lloyd? Like, is she going to have to guard Chelsea Gray, who's just going to post her up and ice her the whole game? I don't know. I really have no idea what way Caitlin's going to match up. So she can't take time off on defense. And if we want to talk about depth, I mean this, like, we want to talk about depth, which is normally what I would say is the big advantage that teams have over the Aces. The Fever don't have any depth. Like, this is Demira Stanton's second last game before she has to step away from the team. And she's been struggling recently. Bree Turner is not good enough to be on the court. I don't know whether or not Michaela Timpson's good enough to be on the court. Like, we haven't seen Michaela Timpson, so we have absolutely no idea whether or not Michaela Timpson is good enough to be on the court. Realistically, we have no idea whether or not she's good enough. But at the end of the day, this is a really, really important game for the Fever. It's a real important game, and in their current system, it's unfortunate to say this, but they go where Caitlin goes. Unless Caitlin Clark has an outstanding game. Unless Caitlin Clark has this absolutely outstanding game and she's like just completely dominating and just taking over, I don't see the Fever winning. Like, I actually mean this when I say this. Like, I actually think the Indiana Fever are going to have like, what, Caitlin Clark having like 25 plus? I think she's going to have 25 plus to win this game, for him to win this game. And I don't know if, against the Aces, she hasn't beat the Aces yet. She's yet to beat the Aces yet in her career, and she's yet to even have a good game against the Aces. And I don't know. And if you guys want to say I'm too negative, heck, anytime I think the Fever are going to win, they lose. Anytime I think they're going to lose, they win. So you guys should be celebrating. I'm the biggest jinx on the Indiana Fever this year. I was like, oh yeah, I talked about the Golden State game like it was a formality. The Fever were winning by 20. I talked about it like it was a formality. But yeah, it is. It's going to be an interesting game. And look, this is one of the more important games. This is one of the more important games for the Indiana Fever this year. And I think if the Fever go and lose this game, like, I understand the Indiana Fever don't have, or then they play the Storm on Tuesday, and then they face off. Who is it? It's the Storm Tuesday. Then is it the Wings? And like, if you're on a back of a 3-game slide coming into a Wings game, anything can happen. And it's the Sparks. You should beat the Sparks no matter what. And then there's the Wings. Then it's the Lynx. There's the Aces. Like, this West Coast trip, realistically, they don't play another an in-conference team till the 12th of July. Like, these out-of-conference games could always be tough, even ones that are at home. So I'm really hoping when it comes to the Fever that they kind of know what they're doing. That they know what they're doing. That they are, like, that they're able to get a couple of wins here, because funnily enough, if we look, this team last year was 20-18 on the year at one stage, and then they obviously just rested their players. But like, they got to 500 at 16-16, and after a 1-9 start, or a 2-11 start, which they started off last year, then they won 4 straight. Like, if we don't remember, by the end of June, the Indiana Fever had won 4 games in a row and were starting to roll. They were starting to figure it out. By the end of June, they were figuring things out. And they got into, by the middle of July, they were one of the more informed teams in the WNBA coming into the Olympic break. And people were talking about them maybe being sneaky contenders. And they were the 6th seed coming into the Olympic break. Well, they were 7, but they weren't far off the Mercury. People were talking about them being sneaky dangerous. But right now, like, I think this team, they need to get some big wins, because I think there's a chance this season can go south quick. If they lose this game tonight, I don't know if they're going to beat the Storm. I don't know if they're going to be able to beat the Storm at this time on a slide. Then you're playing the Sparks, which is a game they should win no matter what. Then it's the Wings, where it's like the Wings is going to be one of those tough games because it's not really going to be about basketball. It like teams are going to play the occasion as much as they're going to play the game. It's Caitlin versus Paige, and in fairness, the Fever have stepped up when they played in times where they played the occasion. But yeah, that is pretty much it, lads. That is the video. I'll see you guys.